Hey guys, this time on the Reflection Point, we're going to take a look at gun control. Seems like every time there's a mass shooting in America, a lot of people come out calling for gun control. It's not surprising that certain politicians, would call for this. And you'll understand why in a minute. What's alarming is that they have so many of their constituents demanding that their rights be taken away from them. So today we're going to look at why we have a Second Amendment. Some of these people actually call for the outright revocation of the Second Amendment. And I think the reason they do is they don't understand why we have a Second Amendment. We do not have a Second Amendment so we can go deer hunting. We don't even have a Second Amendment to protect us from burglars and other bad guys, although those are added benefits. We have a Second Amendment to protect us from the government and keep them in check. Our founding fathers understood that governments crave power. Even governments that start out benevolent, over time, grab more and more power for themselves and become tyrannical if they're not held in check. Our entire Constitution was literally written to limit the power of the government. Government is a necessary evil. We have to have it, but we need to limit its power. Our founding fathers understood this. Now, most people that have grown up in the United States with all the rights and freedoms and privileges we have don't understand that governments are normally tyrannical because that's not our experience here. But the reason it's not our experience here is because of our Constitution. The rights and freedoms that we have are exceptional. Throughout the course of human history, the overwhelming majority of human beings have lived under tyranny and oppression. What we have in the United States, it's easy to take for granted if having all this freedom is all you've ever known, but this is not normal. This is exceptional. And it was given to us by our founding fathers, and they were able to provide it because of one colossal blunder that King George III made. He allowed the colonists to have guns. And what that did is, once he pushed them too far, they were able to rise up against him in revolution. Every evil dictator and tyrant all over the world learned a very valuable lesson from the American Revolution. You cannot allow the common people to have guns, because if you do, it puts a limit on your tyranny. If you push them too far, they'll rise up against you. If you disarm them, they can't rise up against you. Guns are power. Whoever has the guns has the power. When the government has all the guns, they have all the power. They can do whatever they want to the people. But when the people have guns, it creates a balance of power which holds the government in check. Mao Zedong, who was the founder of the Chinese Communist Party, understood this well. He was famous for saying, all political power comes from the barrel of a gun. The Communist Party must command all the guns so that no guns can ever be used to command the party. From 1935, when he first started taking over provinces in China, until 1949, when he had complete control of the country, everywhere he went, he confiscated guns. Anyone caught with a gun post-confiscation was executed. During Mao's reign, 60 million Chinese died. During the Russian Revolution, Vladimir Lenin in 1918 did a gun registration in April of 1918. And he said, look guys, we're not going to take your guns. We just want to know where they are. 6 months later, confiscation. In October of 1918, they confiscated all the guns, and they knew where they were because the people had registered them. And once they confiscated the guns, began the Red Terror, where the Communist Party began murdering tens of thousands of political opponents in order to consolidate their power. Lenin's successor, Joseph Stalin, went on to use that gun control to murder 20 million of his own people through executions, starvation, and forced to work to death in concentration camps. Now, Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, who everyone loves to hate, they actually inherited some fairly strict gun control laws in the 1930s. But in 1938, they went even further and passed a law banning Jews from owning any dangerous weapons whatsoever, including guns. They then, of course, went on to murder 6 million Jews. Those three examples, over 86 million people were murdered by their own governments after the people were disarmed. And that's just three examples. There are numerous other examples. Pol Pot in Cambodia. Look at Cuba after Castro took over. Castro actually, before and during the revolution, said everybody ought to own a gun. As soon as he had power, he seized all the guns and began executing political opponents. Mass murder is pretty much the rule after confiscation. The reason we have a Second Amendment is to keep the government in check. It puts a limit on potential government tyranny if they know the people have the ability to rise up against them. What can a government do to its people once it's disarmed them? Whatever the hell it wants. And that's it for this time on the Reflection Point.